Well, good morning. This is the first video clip of my trip from Egg Island up to Great Abaco, a continuation of the Great Bahamas adventure. Anchor was up today at about 5:30 in the morning. Awake at 5 o'clock, and we're headed northbound right now. And it's a fairly nice day so far. I hope the wind picks up a little bit. It's out of the east rather than the south, strange to say. Different than the forecast, but puts us on a reach rather than a run, so that's better. So far the wind is only 10 to 13 knots. I'm hoping it will increase a little bit, give us some speed, or we're going to have to turn on the engine. We've got about 47 miles left to go, and as long as we keep up a speed of around 4 knots or so, we'll be okay for getting there with plenty of light. So anyway, just carrying on, and we will touch base with you later on, I guess today. It's going to be an all-day trip. Well, I'm almost at Little Harbor Bar, the entrance into the cove that I want to go to. Carl Sutter's Point is inside there, and we're going to see what the pass is like, what the bar is like. There's a good following wave train here. We're running with the wind, and apparently that bar can be a little treacherous in high waves. So we're going to see how that works out. Right now I've taken the sail in. Got a few more miles to go before I get there. But we'll see how the boat reacts to the larger waves, and take a look with the binoculars as we get closer. But I think it's going to be okay. If the alternative is to go farther north and go over Big Harbor Bar. But that's another 3 miles to the north, and I don't think we have to do that. So we'll see how it works out. And today is the 20th of March, and with the chatter of all the VHF traffic in the background, we're heading north here towards Snake Key. I expect some strong winds tonight, so I'm going to see if I can tuck in behind Snake Key, which is a kind of local hurricane hole. And if not, there's an anchorage just out in front of Snake Key, which will also work quite well. Again, we got some beautiful scenery as we move north here. The watercolors, again, quite beautiful. We're getting closer to Marsh Harbour and Hopetown and places like that that are sort of like the Georgetown of the Abacos. So there's a lot of radio chatter and a lot of boat movement, and settlements are more in evidence around here too. Well, the 21st of March, I am at Marsh Harbour. This is a pretty big place, and I'll go ashore tomorrow and take a look around. There are more marinas here in this one bay than there is in all of the Exumas. So it's a busy place. It's not really cramped full of boats at this time. Fortunately, they're well spread out. But I can imagine at certain times of the year this place would be really hopping, and the boats would probably be just crammed in here. Yeah, so it was a pleasant enough day coming up the Sea of Abaco, zigzagging back and forth across the sea to avoid the shallows, and listening to the never-ending nonsense on channel 16. You know, come back, pick a channel, and all the rest of the nonsense that a lot of the people seem to use who are not comfortable with the radio. But anyway, like I said in my post on the blog, you know, I'm going to my happy place. After 3 hours or so, I just turned the radio off. I couldn't put up with it anymore. But anyway, this is an interesting place. It even has a pizzeria on shore somewhere, so I might just get myself a pizza. They deliver it right to the dock, apparently, so I can meet them there with the dinghy. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm going to be here for a while. I've signed up for internet for a week. I may not use it all, but I'm going to stay here for a while. There's going to be some strong winds coming in another day or so, and this is a good place to stay. And I've no hurry. I've got all kinds of time before I have to be over at West End by the 12th of April for the crossing for the marina in West Palm Beach on the 19th. So, or actually my flight home on the 19th. So, anyway, I've got no hurry. I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry. I don't have to be moving quickly, so I'm just going to take my time, and this is a nice spot to explore. I think there's lots to do on shore, so I will walk around and see what there is here starting tomorrow. Yeah, so I've dinghied ashore here to Marsh Harbour, the hub of the Abacos. There's a bit of a view of the harbour out there, and of course Prince Diamond way out there. There's a lot here, a lot of marinas and various stores, even a couple of pizzerias, which I might be tempted to look in on. So far seems like a very pleasant place. Well, if you listen carefully, you can hear the nightly serenade of the conchorns announcing that it's sundown. This appears to be a thing in the Bahamas. It's same as it was back when we were here in 90, I think it was. Obviously, some people take it more seriously than others. Anyway, I'm just relaxing here in the cockpit after a day of wandering around in the town. That's something new. It's coming from the marina over there. There's more marinas in this little bay than there is in the entire Exuma chain, apparently, according to Stephen Pavlaitis. And there are a lot. And when you've got a lot of people together, you can have a lot of conchorns. Well, good morning. It's the 28th of March. Yeah, and we just tried popping into the Treasure Cay area, but it's very shallow there. First of all, touched ground a couple of times. Just kept powering on. It didn't slow us down much, and you can still hear the depth sounder beeping because it's only a little over 6 feet deep underneath us here. It was just a little bit like Lagoon City in there. I hope that maybe there would be nobody else anchored there. Strange, I know, for me to think like that. But anyway, as it turned out,
there were lots of boats there, and there was some question of whether or not you'd have to pay to anchor in that complex. It's all very well protected, but they're packed together like sardines. So going to continue on, heading north through the Abacos, and the next step is just to go out, duck out into the ocean just very briefly, and then come back in again. And then we're going to be right in the vicinity of the farthest that we ever went with currents of fair, Green Turtle Cay. And I might even anchor in the same place, Black Sound or White Sound. And that's just around the corner. Once I deck out in the ocean and then come back in again, we'll be there. So that's the plan now. A little bit more traveling today, and that's fine. This place didn't really have anything to recommend it, this Treasure Cay area. Very well protected and might make a good hurricane hole, but a lot of boats in there. They were packed, anchored there cheek to jowl, so not really interested in doing that. So we'll head a little farther north.
And finally, after a long day of motoring and sailing, motor sailing, I am now touching with the events of the other year. 1990, was it? Or 92, I can't remember. And we were here in Black Sound with Current Affair. And after I've experienced Black Sound here for maybe a day or so, I'll go up to White Sound, which is just around the corner. Both of them very well protected anchorages on Green Turtle Cay. Well, I've come ashore here, what must be the dinghy dock on Black Sound. And Prince Diamond's way back there with the red head sail. And I'm right down at the head of the bay. So I'm going to go take a look around, see if I remember anything from the days of being here in 1997, when the Current Affair got this far, and then we turned around and went back to Florida. Black Sound was the farthest that we got on that trip, and this is where I am today, and from now on it's all going to be water I sailed on before. We'll see if something's changed in 13 or whatever it is, number of years, 16 years, 13, something like that. I'm just looking back at the path I just walked on. Just on the other side of that house there is the dock that I docked at, and I'm guessing that this was the swimming pool that Mark and Robin were swimming in 1997, because it's right on the edge of the water. And that's the pool area right there. This is Pineapples Bar and Grill, and this is a view from their vantage point here. The anchorage out there off the Sounds. And New Plymouth. I don't remember what they call this body of water. The word "the settlement" keeps coming into mind, but I don't think that's correct. It's just a little parallel sound to Black Sound on the outside of Black Sound. And this is New Plymouth, obviously. I'm going to recognize a lot of places here. And we're back at Pineapples. And a little hamburger coming as well. On the 31st of March, Prince Diamond is leaving White Sound. White Sound being a little more upscale than Black Sound, and certainly wider. A little more anchoring room. A couple of nice marinas, restaurants here, especially one over here called Bluff House. There we go. But I didn't visit any of them. Gotta save some money, you know. It's all about the saving money. So now we're gonna just go out the channel here and head up toward Manjack Cay, which I'm not sure if we stayed at last time when I was down here. I think we skipped by Manjack Cay, but it has a nice anchorage at the north end of it. That'll be good protection for southerly winds, which is what we're expecting. And I'm here at Manjack Cay, anchorage on the north end of the island. It's also used to be known as Manjack Cay. And look at this place. Fucking lovely. Look at beautiful sand beach all the way around. There's the open ocean out there. And any swells that are coming around the corner, which are very slight, are hitting me in the stern. Which is the way I likes it. And you'll notice there are no other boats here. Many boats further south along the island, all clustered along the shore, which in a day or so is going to be a lee shore for a strong south wind. South wind is already here, it's not very strong today. And I've got the spot. I've got the spot you want. And you know, it's lovely. This is what it's all about. Exploring places. I mean, I'm walking on a path, but I'm also walking on a tropical rainforest island with woods you couldn't possibly get through very easily. And there's palm trees around me and such. And it's all rather delightful. You know, you have to realize this is what it's all about. It really experiencing life. Having a lot of fun. And by following Bay to Bay Road to the south and then coming across King's Highway, which left me having to go either east or west, I went west and I'm here. And this is the other bay of the Bay to Bay, I guess. Oh, there's places for fixing food. There's a little makeshift table there and some wonderful picnic tables here. And there's a boat at the dock. And such a beach. Oh, such a beach. And this is one of the beaches, coast along here, the bays that some boats were anchored at. I see there's a couple out there already. And you know, this is lee shore now, so I don't know why anybody would have anchored here. I mean, the waves aren't large. They'll never get large on this body of water. This is the Sea of Abacos behind. But still, I always like to be anchored in a very quiet spot at night. Leaving Manjack Cay astern, that's a lovely spot with the nature trails and that lovely bay that we wish that some boats would come in during the daytime in order to enjoy the beach. But at night everyone left and it was just me. Wonderful place to stay. But now the wind is going to switch around to the north. It's already from the north, very light. It will be very, very light tonight. So we have our choice of anchorages in that case, and we're going to go up here to Powell Cay. we're just making our way a little bit farther north and west as required. One night at Powell Cay, and then we're probably going to move over to hide behind Crab Cay for some very strong winds that are coming from the south. We'll know more tomorrow morning when I review the weather forecasts, but right now it looks like Crab Cay would be the best spot to go to for that. And then as the wind continues to veer around to the west and stays strong, it might be a good time to go up to Pensacola Cay. So we'll see. Anyway, those decisions are not being made yet. Now, the last time I ever tried to fix some optics was when I was younger, and that didn't work out too well, taking apart a telescope lens to clean. And it turned out to be a bit of a disaster, as the lens was never the same again after that. But yesterday I got a little bit disgusted with the binoculars, so I took them apart as much as I could. There was a broken screw that I couldn't get out, and I didn't want to play around with that. And the other side I just decided not to touch at all, but I was able to get a cloth in and clean some of the optics. Actually, I thought that maybe part of the problem was that there was some silvering that was coming off mirrors, and actually it's not. It was there were actual glass prisms in there, so it's a high quality set of binoculars, and I was able to clean the glass prisms and reinstall them. And after a little bit of finagling, because those prisms have to be exactly installed in the right spot or they don't work right, and finally managed to get it all back together, and it's working great. So finally I have a clean viewing set of binoculars. It's the original ones that I had from when my that used to be my dad's, from Bold, right there. So the only damage has been that the little covering, plastic, I don't know what you call that, kind of alligatored surface, came off. I could have tried to repair it by gluing it back on in pieces, but I decided to forget about it, just to leave it off. It looks fine like that. It's not a big deal. Yeah, there's a sailboat up there on that island. That's not nice. Doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. There's always these warnings. And before we get to the northern shore of Pensacola Cay, I'm going to just drop by here and take a look at this hurricane hole. I believe it's too shallow for me to get into, but I'll just take a look and see what the story is there, because that would certainly be an excellent spot for me to shelter in. Well, enough of that nonsense. I tried getting into a hurricane hole, and I could feel myself running aground on soft sand, and it took about 2 minutes of full reverse power for the boat to rotate slightly to the side and then back out. No thanks. Don't want to do that again. That was too scary. Now I'm backing out into the wind, into deep water. No, better not to do that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, I showed up with a depth sounder about 5.5 feet, and at that point I was already in neutral. At that point I decided to start the stop, but it was too late. Just as I was deciding to back out, I felt myself touch a couple of times. That's scary. Now I'm backing out into little waves, so they're splashing under the counter. But I probably got about 25 feet below me right now. I'm just going to give myself a bit more room before I turn. Well, here we are now, safely anchored on the north side of Pensacola Cay. And you can better believe that I've decided that I'm not going to do any more gunk hole exploring like that with the boat, because it's just a little bit too scary. I was on a lee shore, although the wind was light,
and that wasn't helping me to approach in a controlled manner. I mean, I was going as slow as I could, but it was still registering about 2 knots, which is way too fast, I think, for that kind of exploring. And by the time I got my shallow water indication and put it in reverse immediately, it was already going aground. So anyway, I got off okay, but I don't want to do that again. So I'm going to be a little more cautious in the future and just stick with the published places. So that's where I am right now. This is an anchorage here. There's nobody here, but it has good holding underneath us. I could have gone closer to shore, but I noticed it's marked R for rocks, so it's part of the new me being very careful. I'm staying out here a little farther. Now, right now, there's a bit of wave action going on, and the boat's not rolling, but it's doing very gentle pitch, very, very subdued. But that will change because the wind is going to swing around, veer down to the south, down here, and stop being more easterly. And then it's going to increase tomorrow night. It will increase to about up to 25 knots. So I should be very comfortable here. And then as it continues to veer out to the west, it will drop in intensity to about 15 knots. And that'll happen during the day according to the forecast. So at that point, if I notice it's starting to get rough in here, I'll just leave and continue on my trip. 15 knots is a very reasonable wind speed for getting places. So it should work out very well. Now at the eastern end of the island, or getting toward the eastern end of the island, there's some keys here. I can't be sure if these are the exact ones because I don't have the chart with me, but called the Murray Keys and Money Key. And it's called Money Key because a squatter named Murray found some money on it. Some sort of a treasure cache. I don't know if it was ancient coins or modern coins, but anyway, that's the story. I don't know anything more about it than that. The amount of plastic on the shores here on all these islands is quite disgusting. Just everything you can possibly imagine. Fishing equipment, nets, floats, pieces of boat, just about anything you can possibly imagine, especially if it's made out of plastic. It comes floating up here onto these shores. This one isn't as bad as some I've seen. Some are absolutely just a junkyard, a litter yard of plastic. It's my little buddy I've seen here. I don't know what kind of animal that is. Oh, okay. Just a fish swimming on his side. He's swimming on his side in the shallows. Curious. He's right there. Just off the beach, just enjoying the beach like I am, I guess. And what a difference a day makes. Well, with the promise of some strong winds on Thursday night, I believe it was, at Allans-Pensacola Cay, I had a real decision to make because the wind was going to veer to the west and then to the north, and I couldn't stay where I was, and yet I couldn't really believe the forecast because what I was seeing wasn't jiving completely with what was happening. So anyway, I did trust the forecast in the end, and on Friday night, just before dark, a couple hours before dark, so I'd have a decent bit of light to see what I was doing, I left Allans-Pensacola Cay, and I came here to Moraine Cay, which has shelter for the north. And well, the wind was weird as usual. It didn't do a smooth transition. It didn't stay as strong as it was supposed to, but then it got strong later, and it didn't come out of the south. So I was anchored on a windward shore a lee shore at Moraine Cay. Not a good situation with 15 knot winds, but that was okay. I hung around and handled that okay. And then at about 2:45 in the morning, the wind snapped around to the north and increased to 20 knots. So that was what I had been waiting for and didn't know if it was even going to happen. But it did. And whereas Moraine Cay looked very inhospitable and gray and dark last night, today it's delightful and lovely, and a place that I'm going to enjoy going ashore and exploring tomorrow. But for today, I'm just hanging on here. The wind started out 20 knots from the north, and it's eased a bit now. I think it's about 15. And it's supposed to ease and veer slowly over the next few days. So this might be a good place to stay for a little while.
Well, I'm giving up the idea of finding any kind of trails out here. I just end up following these little sandy copses into the bushes, and they don't go anywhere. So I don't know what trails there are. I haven't been able to find anything. But look what I found here in this little area here. This is a package that's all wrapped up. I ripped it open, and it's got some brown shit in there. Now, the first thing I'm thinking of is some illegal drugs, you know. It's all been carefully wrapped with plastic tape round and round and round. Has a kind of a funny smell to it. Doesn't smell like marijuana. I don't know, I'm not familiar with illegal drugs, so I don't know what it smells like. I think if I smelled it again, I'd recognize it, but anyway. Yeah. That's the stuff there. I have no idea what it is. Like I say, my guess is it could be, you know, something. I mean, it's a fibrous looking kind of stuff, almost like a. Well, of course, it's damp. It's wet, almost like like tobacco, really. I guess that's what it looks like. It looks just like tobacco. So, who knows? Maybe I just found a drug stash. Well, I believe now on thinking about what that stuff looked like and how it smelled, I think that was probably marijuana. But I've never smelled the raw substance, only the smoke that you pick up in university and high school and elsewhere in life from people smoking it nearby. So it wasn't the same kind of smell as the smell of a burn product. But anyway, it was an aromatic, fibrous stuff that looked like dark brown pipe tobacco. So quite moist actually, but it had been lying in that package for who knows how long and probably damaged by salt water and everything. But anyway, I left it back there. I don't think it's going to be too easy to find for people. Anyway, we're off today for a voyage to Big Carter Cay. I mean, that's the plan anyway. If Big Carter Cay doesn't work out, I'll go a little bit farther to Stranger Cay. We'll be there. There's only one shallow area to get in to Big Carter Cay, and we're going to be there about halfway through a rising tide. So that actually seems quite good. So we'll see how that works. And I'm going to be approaching an upwind also, which is going to be nice. So I'm going to be happy not to have this stupid, unpleasant rolling going on. It's been a couple of nights very unpleasant with only snatches of sleep now and then because of the boat's motion and all the noise. This wasn't a well-protected anchorage with the winds and storm. So Carter Cay should be better. Big Carter Cay, it's really a number of small keys jammed together, and so that might work out a little better. Well, goodbye to you, Moraine Cay, you miserable anchorage. I've seen better.